In our last session, we introduced this idea that with every single person on your team, there's a relationship bank account. And that as a leader, I need to be intentionally depositing relational currency into that bank account. And I also need to be intentionally withdrawing from that bank account. And it's the conversations that I have with the people on my team that activate those transactions. It's the conversations that I have with people on my team that deposit into that bank account. And it's also the conversations that withdraw. And as a leader, I need to be equipped and skilled and confident to be able to lead conversations that both deposit and withdraw from those bank accounts. But at the core of all of these conversations that we're referring to and that we're going to unpack in this series is one thing that your team desperately needs from you. At the core, there is one thing that, if cultivated, if intentionally focused on, if it is present, it's going to allow you to go further faster with your team. But if it's scarce, it's non-existent, it's not something that is intentionally invested in and developed and cultivated, it can actually slow you down and it can prevent you from getting the outcomes that you want to get from the conversations that you have, but also prevent you from being able to achieve the business results you're responsible to achieve as a leader. And so that one thing that your team desperately needs from you and that you need as a leader to be effective with the conversations that we're talking about is trust. Is that your team needs to trust you and you need to be able to trust your team. And if you are creating an environment where trust is present and cultivated, it allows you to go further faster. If you as a leader are creating an environment where trust is scarce and non-existent, it's going to make having these conversations much more difficult to do. And so it's important to focus on activities that cultivate trust, because the reality is this: if there is no connection, there is no commitment. There is no commitment without connection. For your team to be committed, there needs to be connection, and that connection is cultivated and built through trust. Also, there is no traction without trust. If you think about how fast you want to go towards delivering your business results and how successful you want to be as a leader, you cannot gain traction in doing that individually and with your team without trust. And so trust is at the core of all of these conversations, because the reality is this, is that when you have these conversations with people on your team, they are filtering it through the "can I trust you" filter. The question that they're asking whenever you are sharing feedback with them, whenever you are engaging in a career conversation, whenever you are making deposits or withdrawals, is "can I trust you?" And they are filtering what you say through that. And if the answer is yes, as it goes through that "can I trust you" zone, then it allows you to go further faster and allows you to achieve the outcome for which you're having the conversation to begin with. But if the answer is no to the "can I trust you" question being asked by every person that you're talking to, then it's going to slow you down and may prevent you from getting the outcome for you even having the conversation in the first place. And so it's important to cultivate trust. And I just want to share with you some thoughts around ways that you can do that. I wrote some things down I just want to share with you. I think the first is to engage and follow through. Where I see leaders trip up, where I see leaders diminish or have trust that deteriorates, it's because they make a commitment to do something and they don't do it. That they say they will do something and when they'll do it, and then they just don't follow through. And so if you do that time after time after time, it actually diminishes trust to where the next time you make a commitment, the people are questioning, will this person deliver and do what they say they're going to do? So following through, doing what you say you're going to do, when you say you're going to do it, is very important in cultivating trust. Engagement is also important. Connecting with the people on your team individually and connecting below the line, demonstrating that you care about them, that you're connecting with them, that you are listening in an active way, that you are respecting them as an individual, that you are demonstrating empathy. Those are actions and skills we can develop and take that cultivate trust. Being authentic and vulnerable is a way for you to cultivate trust. I think 4 of the most important words that we can learn as a leader is "I do not know." I do not know. And being able to then engage the people on your team to unlock their ability to drive solutions and drive outcomes for your team. So you shouldn't feel the pressure as a leader to get it perfect every time. Be comfortable saying, "I don't know." Be vulnerable, be authentic, be honest, be transparent. If you say you're going to do something, if you are dishonest, if you don't have integrity, then you're going to have a hard time cultivating trust and having a hard time getting the results that you want to get from the conversations that you're having. And investing in getting to know people and connecting with them is very important. Spending time in your one-on-one, spending other time being able to get to know the individuals. These are actions that you can take and skills that you can develop to cultivate trust, because trust is at the core and the foundation for these conversations that you're having, and ultimately enabling you to get the outcomes that you want from engaging in the types of conversations you should be intentionally engaging in as a leader. So there's one thing that I want you to do as a result of this. I want you to go back to your team and I want you to ask them, and you can do this in a team meeting, in a one-on-one meeting, you can do this through an anonymous survey, whatever you choose to do. I want you to ask them, what is one action you can take that will help cultivate trust on the team? What is one action you can take that will help cultivate trust on the team? And then I want you to listen to them, and I want you to commit to drive that action that they share with you. And those are ways that you can engage your team to understand, how are you doing? How are you doing with the trust factor on your team, with the way they trust you and trust each other? And so engage your team, ask them, and let them help you understand actions that you can take to cultivate trust that will ultimately allow you to have the conversations you need to have that get the outcome that you want to get from having the conversations.